I'm 101 years old. That number still surprises me when I say it out loud. People think living this long means you collect answers, like trophies on a shelf. But the truth is, you mostly collect questions you asked too late.
Like trophies on a shelf. But the truth is, you mostly collect questions you asked too late. I've lived through wars, recessions, revolutions, inventions that changed how humans speak to each other. I remember when phones were attached to walls and letters took weeks to arrive. I remember when silence wasn't something people feared. And after all this time, after all these years, there is one thing I know with painful clarity. Most people don't ruin their lives by making terrible choices. They ruin them by postponing the important ones. I didn't learn that at 90. I didn't learn it at 80. I learned it when I was 29 years old. And then I spent the next 70 years ignoring it. It was 1953. I was a newly married woman, working as a secretary in a small insurance office. My husband, Edward, was a quiet man. Not dramatic, not poetic. He loved fixing broken things and hated small talk. But every night, no matter how tired he would ask me the same question. How was your day, really? And most nights I brushed it off. Oh, fine. Because I was tired. Because dinner needed cooking. Because tomorrow would be calmer. One Thursday evening, I remember he asked again. I remember because I snapped at him. I told him I didn't have the energy to talk, that he always picked the wrong time. He nodded, said okay, and went to bed early. The next morning, he didn't wake up. Heart failure. Sudden, no warning, just gone. People brought casseroles. People hugged me. People said all the right things. But what they didn't say, what no one ever says, is that grief isn't just missing someone. Grief is realizing how many moments you treated as disposable. I promised myself then that I would never take presents for granted again. I promised I would listen more, rush less, love louder. And just like most promises made in pain, I broke it. Life didn't stop for my grief. It never does. I remarried. I had children. I worked. I worried. I told myself I was being responsible, that someday I would slow down. Someday is the most dangerous word we use. I raised a daughter named Helen. Bright girl, curious. Always asking questions. She used to sit at the kitchen table while I cooked and tell me stories about school. And I would half listen, nodding while my mind stayed somewhere else. Bills, deadlines, worries. I thought being in the same room was enough. It wasn't. Helen moved out at 18. Married young, busy life. Phone calls became shorter. Visits less frequent. We told each other we understood. And we did. But understanding doesn't replace attention. She died in a car accident at 41. At the funeral, people spoke about how close we were. And I stood there nodding, feeling like a fraud. Because closeness isn't measured in years. It's measured in moments where you choose to be fully there. Here's something no one warns you about aging. Your memories don't comfort you. They interrogate you. Every face you remember comes with a question. Why weren't you more present when you had the chance? I lived another 60 years after that. 60 years. That's an entire lifetime. And even with all that loss behind me, I still caught myself drifting. Still caught myself thinking, later. Later to call. Later to visit. Later to listen. I watched friends die one by one. I watched my reflection change into someone I barely recognized. And one day, without realizing when it happened, I became the old person waiting for the phone to ring. I have a grandson. He loves me. I know he does. He sends messages. Short ones. Emojis. He visits when he can. And when he's here, he's kind. But distracted. I don't blame him. I used to be just like him. What I want you to understand is this. You don't notice life slipping away. It doesn't announce itself. It leaks. It leaks through moments you rush. It leaks through conversations you half hear. It leaks through the assumption that the people you love will always be accessible. They won't. One day you will think about someone and realize the last time you spoke to them was years ago. And you didn't know it was the last time. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell her to work less or dream bigger or travel more. I would tell her something simpler and much harder. Pay attention. Pay attention when someone is speaking to you. Pay attention when someone wants to share a memory. Pay attention when you feel the urge to check your phone instead of holding eye contact. Because the end of life isn't a highlight reel. It's a collection of quiet moments you either showed up for or didn't. I don't fear dying. I fear how much living I missed while being alive. You still have time. More than you think. But less than you believe. Don't wait for tragedy to teach you presence. Don't wait for absence to teach you value. Don't wait for silence to teach you what mattered. Be here. Now. While it still counts.